We've all felt the sting of an unresolved ending. A good cliffhanger gets us pumped up and ready to see the next start of the story, and a bad one can really stilt a series. Now, we're not really talking about the quality of cliffhangers today, though some that we will talk about are pretty bad. What we're looking at are when a series just kind of runs out of steam or it's killed prematurely and it's telling you that there's more and you don't get it. And for that reason, sometimes it's genuinely heartbreaking. Sometimes it's absurd and the height of hubris. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 ridiculous video game cliffhangers that never got resolved. Starting at number 10. The 3 words I'm about to say are truly amazing. I'm going to knock them out for you. Time traveling Lincoln. Yeah, the Conduit 2 had probably one of the all-time most insane cliffhanger endings. Clearly one that's not going to be resolved and really couldn't be to anybody's satisfaction. So this is an alien invasion first-person shooter on the Wii, where you explore Washington, D.C. while shooting it up against an army of invading aliens. Sounds pretty straightforward. It's fun. Probably one of the first and only shooters custom built for the motion controls on Wii, and it actually worked out pretty well, but the after credits ending, totally bonkers. So the rest of the game is kind of like, in aesthetic at least, Halo light. You got glowing power armor, kind of cartoonish but menacing aliens, spooky corridors. The ending just throws all of that away and introduces this team of time-traveling presidents wearing steampunk armor that, it includes Honest Abe Lincoln. If there were a Conduit 3, you'd be probably working alongside steampunk Lincoln from the past in the present and or future, or maybe going back to the past. Who knows? I don't know. None of it makes any sense. You're talking to time-traveling Lincoln. Like, I don't think that I could possibly truly describe the feeling that you get when you aren't expecting this. Like, you're watching a list where you're like, there's gonna be ridiculous twists and things that they didn't resolve, possibly because they couldn't. So you've got a bit of an expectation here, and I cannot convey what it's like to beat this game and have Abraham Lincoln and George Washington walking out of a time portal saying like a badass line and having the music crescendo up to this insane thing and then cutting to credits and then never having anything happen ever again in this series. It's insane. So at number 9, the president is number 1 from the game 13. Yeah, we're going with presidents for now. There's a few other presidents that we'll talk about. The presidents are funny and weird, okay? That's why. But this is probably the biggest hit of the bunch. At 13, you play as an amnesic secret agent played by David Duchovny, who is very low energy in this game. But by the end, you defeat a fascist coup. You take down a variety of their top staff. You shoot your way through multiple bases. And that feels like you've done a lot, but you never find out the identity of number 1, who is the leader of the conspiracy. At the very end of the game, 13 stumbles onto a very plot-important boat, and the story catches up with your earliest memories. Before the events of the game, 13 actually discovered number 1's identity and was shot for it, which is what led to his amnesia. Now, the memories start flooding back, and the new president, the guy that you helped get elected, is actually the mastermind behind the conspiracy. That's where the game ends. You can go into the comic book source material to see where more happens, but it's not clear whether or not that's exactly what would have happened in the video game, so not really resolved. At number 8 is Multiple Evil Moons. Do you remember the Dead Space 3 DLC? Dead Space 3 is an overstuffed, bloated corpse of a game, the kind that kills a franchise, and, well, they managed to kind of surgically remove the horror elements from the game. The first one was primarily a horror game. The second one had elements of horror and was an action game that really found a way to balance it out and keep it faithful to the first. Dead Space 3, while I'm not going to say that everything about it is bad, because it's not, it would be a questionable statement to say that the decisions that went into the game were not questionable. Now, they did add some short DLC episodes after the game's release, and they attempted to add some spooks to the game, little scares, and this, how do I put this? They kind of failed at this stinger. That's probably the best way to put it. So in Dead Space, you got the scary necromorphs that are reanimated flesh, you know, that stuff. So the final stage of that life form is actually a moon-sized version of it. Like, enough flesh is consumed that it is a moon, and it's a sort of floating around big moon necromorph. They're the source of the marker signal. It's first mentioned in Dead Space 2, but they decided, you know what? Let's make it a thing in Dead Space 3. Let's do it. Let's do this thing. And obviously, the people who were working on Dead Space 3 were either different people or the same people under duress. So yeah, you fight one of these moons at the end of Dead Space 3. Yeah, you just fight it. But then if you complete all the DLC and you return to Earth, you find out that it's surrounded by a bunch of the Brethren moons. So, like, if it was real, it'd probably be pretty scary, but it's not. And it makes you laugh. Oh no, the Earth is surrounded by evil moons! And number 7, when you don't fight Lon D. Some people say cliffhangers and unresolved endings are a product of extreme hubris. Like, the creators just assume there's going to be a sequel. Which sometimes, sure, yeah, that's already something that's been taken care of and they know. A lot of the time they don't. You can't know how something is going to perform when you put it out there in the world, and sometimes people aren't going to respond to it the way that people who put cliffhangers and assume that they just get to continue the story might predict. The thing is, some cliffhangers are really great, and the next thing's gonna happen, maybe even because of the cliffhanger. Who knows? The case of Shenmue 3 having a cliffhanger for the ending is probably the greatest example of hubris of all time. So, like, there's 2 games. We assume that story was never going to end. So, obviously, when they struggled to get funding for this one, it took 18 years. And finally, Shenmue 3 is here. You still don't fight the bad guy. Like, you basically train with kung fu masters and spend a bunch of time preparing to do battle in China to take down Lon D, the guy who killed your father. And he just beats you down. It's hardly even a battle. And it just leaves you exactly where you were before. Like, oh, well, guess I can't beat him. Guess I'm going to need to train with a bunch more kung fu masters and become a more unstoppable badass? I don't know. It's really weird. At number 6, the president having a heart attack and Condemned 2. Back to the president stuff, thank God. A little less disappointing than the total blue balling that is Shenmue 3's ending. Condemned 2 is a very, very silly sequel. And in the grand tradition of silly sequels, you build an absurd cliffhanger. After traveling to a futuristic lair with sound-based devices that spread insanity, the game cuts away to a presidential conference. So he addresses the growing violence across the nation. Mid-speech, somebody delivers a cryptic note saying that Remedy is among us, which implies that the president is a member of the evil Oro organization, and also that the vague message just, like, killed him. Like, he got a note and had a heart attack and died. What is that? What is happening? At number 5, in Freedom Force versus the Third Reich, Entropy meeting the embodiment of Energy X, this one hurts. The Freedom Forces games are these light tactical RPGs where you control a team of superheroes. Due to low sales and the breakup of Irrational Games, we're probably never going to see a real sequel, and Freedom Force versus the Third Reich really ends on a doozy. So despite the title, the true villain is actually a transformed version of your ally Alchemist, who becomes the universe-destroying Entropy. Eventually, she tries to stop all the harm she's caused by erasing herself from existence. It seems to work until Alchemist appears before a glowing figure. It's the living embodiment of Energy X, the strange stuff that gives all the heroes in Freedom Force their power. It's a pure old-school comic book premise, and it is a ludicrous cliffhanger. Also, just like a lot of other great comic books, this one's that the story just stopped before it could actually get a proper ending. At number 4, Darth Vader being captured by the Rebellion in Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. Now, The Force Unleashed 2 is kind of, it's murky what to call it. Like, in some ways, you kind of just want to call it a bad game. But in others, I enjoyed the action of it at times. I don't know. Anyway, the original game features 2 open endings that are kind of a little more ridiculous than this, but nobody expecting them to get follow-through. They're kind of alternate universe endings that exist just for fun. The light side ending to Force Unleashed 2, however, demands an explanation. As a, clone thing, you gotta track down your evil science dad, Darth Vader, and defeat him. Defeating him doesn't lead to killing him, though, because the Dark Lord is handed over to the Rebellion. There's just something completely absurd to that. Darth Vader being held prisoner by the Rebellion. Where do you put him? What do you feed him? What do you, you've seen what he can do with the Force, right? How do you hold on to that guy for a while just to see what happens? That just seems like a bad decision. At number 3, Jackie's dead girlfriend turning into a sexy evil angel in The Darkness 2. I'm one of those people that loves The Darkness 2. It's a smooth, fun, frenetic, action's fantastic, and all the eerie interstitial visits to the asylum are pretty effective. Ending, however, woof. After defeating your current nemesis, Jackie encounters his dead girlfriend, Jenny, only now she's hijacked by an evil angel called, Angelus. After taking her over, she leaves Jackie and his demon pals trapped in an endless void. Game over. Weird enough to leave Jackie seemingly defeated, but it's even weirder how sexualized Jackie's dead and practically naked girlfriend is depicted. She's completely innocent in the original game, so she becomes this ludicrous, generic M-rated video game character. I don't typically criticize that type of thing, but it's tonally strange. At number 2, being still stuck on the moon in Mega Man Legends 2. An old-timer in the hallowed halls of video game cliffhangers. The original ending that made us go, what, that's it? Halo 2 maybe had a more abrupt ending, but that was always going to get a sequel. Even Rage, another game that simply stopped kind of mid-action, that got a sequel. Mega Man Legends 2 never got a follow-up, and fans have been begging for decades now. Because at the end, our hero travels to a planet orbiting Terra called Elysium. Up in this empty paradise, you do a battle with Mother, all part of a surprisingly in-depth story. The only problem is after you complete your objectives there, you're just stuck. There's no way to return home, which we all thought was going to get resolved with Mega Man Legends 3, and didn't, and isn't, and kind of seems like it won't. And finally, at number 1, Eli Vance's death from Half-Life 2 Episode 2. We all know about Eli Vance's sudden death at the end of this game. He's this beloved father figure. He's a source of warmth and comfort in an unfriendly world. And taking him from us very much raised the stakes on Gordon Freeman's war against the alien Combine. For the longest time, seemed like we'd never get any resolution to this, because Valve just basically has refused to develop a sequel to it. There is, however, a semi-resolution. Don't want to say a full-on one, but if you don't want to get spoiled by Half-Life Alyx and you're gonna get VR and that's probably gonna be the thing that gets you there, it's still, in my opinion, probably the most worth it VR game there is. But if you don't want to get spoiled, this is that. You're gonna get spoiled. At the end of Half-Life Alyx, Alex Vance meets up with the G-Man. He offers one wish and she changes the ending of Half-Life 2 Episode 2. She saves her father, but is placed under the control of the G-Man as payment. Now, we do not know if this is canon. We also don't know if this means there's not going to be Half-Life 2 Episode 3 or a Half-Life 3. We have no idea what this means. It actually makes things more confusing, which is, of course, a very good note to end on. That's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.